But speaking about chip companies, TSMC, they I've heard about them. I've heard about a lot of chip companies. I've heard about them, thought about doing some investing and stuff. But the U.S. is giving them a big grant of $11.6 billion for grants and loans to build chip plants in the U.S. So I have two things to say about this off the bat. One, are they doing this for our own U.S. companies as well too, giving these billions and billions of dollars, and or are they only trying to bring in foreign companies, and why is the reason? Because two is my point. Point two is the reason why I asked this. When we saw all that stuff about BID and how much China was helping them as a company that belongs, that's from their country and things like that, and why they're investing in them and how much they grew, is the U.S. doing this for their other stuff? That's why I'm asking. Because this made national news. $11.6 billion ain't something to cough up. Definitely ain't for me. Coughing up $11 hurts. So, just it's just the thing of having the knowledge of knowing or how much are they giving our own companies as well too, so that they can do the same thing, because I know that they want to bring a lot of chip plants here for multiple different reasons. I don't want to go into them right now. If you want to go over them later in another episode, we can do that. If I see you guys want to do that, we can do that. I don't want to go over it. I want to dive into this video and not keep holding y'all up, but those are the two things. Like, is the U.S. doing it? Like, we know OpenAI wants to build chip plants or whatever, or Sam Altman wants to do it or whatever, and all these other companies want to open up chip plants within the U.S. And like, how much help are they getting from the U.S. and stuff? Why is the U.S. doing this for them? But let's just figure out in this video and let's dive into what they have to say. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share. It helps out the algorithm. I greatly appreciate it very much. Let's just see.
How important is it that we get foreign expertise into the US to continue with a supply chain that has proven to be broken on previous mines of, what, 2 or 3 years ago?
Yeah, Caroline, good morning. You know, the value to the U.S. of having more domestic manufacturing at the leading edge or close to the leading edge of semiconductors is strategically pretty important, right? We are all looking at geopolitical instabilities and risks, particularly in the Asia Pacific. And so this builds on Taiwan Semi's ability to spread their manufacturing around the world. They already have announced plans in Japan and Germany for lagging edge manufacturing. They already have operations here in the U.S., but really, really limited. This will bring to the U.S. A significant portion of some manufacturing close to the leading edge by the time it's done. And that'll help stabilize things. It also de-risks Taiwan Semi a little bit for investors.
Okay. De-risk to a certain degree. What's been interesting is other companies, when coming into the United States, wanting to boost their manufacturing, have worried about the limitation on labor. Have we got the right, ultimately, rest of the joined-up approach here? Yes, you can get the money, you can get the grants and the loans, but if you've got the talent pool.
Yeah, it's a real challenge. So when I was working up at Albany Nanotech as part of the team there that was trying to bring manufacturing to upstate New York, and there wasn't much beyond IBM in the Hudson Valley, we had to invest in the local industrial infrastructure, if you like, not just labor, but also machine shops and other support to a fabrication facility. Intel is going to face those challenges in Ohio because there's very little infrastructure there in this area. Taiwan Semi at least already has plenty of operations in Phoenix, and they're going to have to do more. And so training programs in conjunction with local technical colleges and community colleges help to create that funnel. Fortunately, chip fabrication plants tend to be very capital intensive. It's not a lot of labor that ends up getting hired here. So these subsidies aren't really about creating jobs, although you'll hear other politicians say that. Probably most of the jobs are in the construction of the plant itself. Once the plant is up and running, maybe 1,000 or 2 people. So it's not a huge number, and I know people are focused on this concern about labor, but we do have great engineering schools in this country. Yeah. And once the job opportunities are there, you tend to see more kids flow into those programs. Plus you add in the customized training programs from the companies.
So I quickly want to go into the part about not having qualified people here. I can understand the stigma of, hey, do we have enough people to put into these plants? Like, of course we have people in plants. I have friends that work in certain plants and things like that as far as it goes. But I feel like there's a real stigma on America not having anybody to work in these plants. I think it's not that. I think it's more of a cost thing because all these plants go outside the country so that they can get cheaper costs and things to manufacture their stuff to then um, sell back and make more profits and stuff and keep their lights on. I don't think it's the talent out there. I think talent's out there. Like, yeah, she said we have good engineering schools, and me personally, I think the number of engineers and people who go into engineering might be growing. I don't know. I don't know if that's a fact. I might look into that, but I feel like there's just a lot of us out there, and there's to be able in the market that we are in now. We're in an oversaturated market. I feel where everybody's trying to apply for certain engineering jobs. There's not enough jobs out there, but there are enough jobs out there. But it's just hard to get these jobs. Like I've heard a bunch of nightmare stories and how hard it was to for like either some of my friends or other people that I know to get engineering jobs. This gives more opportunities to go into different fields and go and have more opportunities to us as engineers go. So that's dope. Like being able to get a bunch of companies in here for chip plants or whatever. And yeah, though of course they put she's talking about like, oh, there's not a lot going on here and things like that, like in like Ohio and whatever for those plants. And we knew Intel been sucking. So but I think if there's enough engineers out there in America, once when they start moving over to where these plants are at, that those areas are going to just get built up more. They're going to see a demand. I'm telling you, what happens all the time. Like, I I live in a state where it was nothing out here, and then it gets built up for many different reasons. And once when a lot of people move into an area, like even when the pandemic, when people were leaving California to move into different states to so their money can go further because they didn't have to live out there anymore. And you see what happened to those states, everything went up. They started building stuff up. So that's definitely a potential thing that's gonna happen. Even if there's not many workers that's gonna go in there, it's still more than nothing. And yeah, it helps construction jobs, of course. That's what politician stuff. But that's what I'm taking from this. So I just want y'all to think on that, and let's just continue and try to get through the rest of this because, wow.
Okay, so the companies, when we think of TSMC being one that is really making the most of subsidies, loans, grants being offered, so too is Intel as well. And I'm just interested as to how much you think this money, this CHIPS Act, will be filtering into foreign entities or indeed more local US presence.
Well, the leading edge in manufacturing, unfortunately for the US companies, has been taken over by Taiwan Semi and Samsung. Intel had made some mistakes in their planning for manufacturing design. They chose a path that ultimately didn't work out very well, and now Pat Gelsinger is trying to shift that path to the more modern alternative, and it's going to take them some years, and it's going to be costly. So, in terms of the U.S. strategic goal of creating more supply of chip manufacturing in this country, we have no choice but to include foreign companies like Taiwan Semi.
Oh, look, she said we
Samsung.
have. She said we have no choice. I don't see AMD or Nvidia on this list. They're probably foreign companies. I don't know. I'm gonna look it up, but I don't see them on this list. Just saying. But I have heard of ASML, Micron, Intel, of course. Like, look at them. They're the only one that's down. They going through it right now. Intel be going through it right now. I'm just telling you. But I've heard all these places, but she just explained it. There's not enough here in the U.S., so they have to go out to these foreign companies and try to bring them here to create those opportunities here. That's how I'm gonna take it. That's how I'm taking it. If you take it differently, let me know. That's how I'm taking it.
We will see if Intel ultimately is successful in bringing their manufacturing up to snuff. But right now, they're trailing edge.
Move it on, and
I just noticed that book behind her. See, I have a. This is giving me ideas. She has a book over here called Chip War. I think it's so convenient because they're talking about chip plants and companies right now and foreign things. I haven't read this book, but it makes me want to go buy that book to see what it's about. And maybe I'll do a video on a personal channel. And I bring that up. I've been talking about this personal channel a lot. I have a handful of ideas already planned for it. I just have to go through them a little bit more nitty gritty in those details. But yo, I might do a book review on that. See if it's worth it. Like if it's a really a tech book, this is and that's where we're going right now as far as the country and everything as the world. That's where the world's going. I might need to take a read out of that book. So let me know if you want to see a review of that book on a personal channel. But I got some ideas. Man, I can't wait. I can't wait to just put my head down and record out that content because it's going to be amazing. It's going to be amazing. I'm telling you, it's going to be fire. It's going to be fire. But let's continue.
Move it on and consider for us, Joanne, ultimately whether or not, you say it takes some of the risk out for investors. Does it really take the risk out of supply chain concerns going into the next 10, 20 years that we've seen that hit so hard during COVID?
No. Caroline, and I think you asked that question deliberately to get a no answer. I mean, there is just a global integration of manufacturing, not just in chips, but as we saw during COVID, also in protective clothing and devices. And we don't ever really want to undo that. We value incredibly and benefit incredibly from trade and having countries specialize in manufacturing the things that their comparative advantage favors. And we get cheaper goods because of it. Consumers benefit around the world because of that that separation of production by specialty. So we don't ever want to undo trade flows, right? But
I was just saying, it would have cost too much if they build stuff here. They don't care about building the chips though. They say, oh, this gonna cost just right. And these companies gonna eat it up. That's why they doing it here. That's the only reason why.
what we want to do is shore up the infrastructure of politics and economics, hopefully to keep disruptions to supply chains as low as we can. Now, obviously, COVID or something like that, another pandemic comes along, and we're going to have problems. And so we have tried to onshore more production of critical items. And that's what the CHIPS Act is all about.
What's been interesting is there's been, for example, Bloomberg Intelligence saying, look, ASML, chip equipment maker, is likely to be another key player that benefits from some of the grants, the loans, the support, the subsidies that the US government currently has. Any other key players that come to mind?
Well, yeah, I think that's right to point out the equipment guys. The more chip fabrication facilities that are built, the better it is for Lam Research, for Applied Materials, for ASML, KLA, all the chip guys, and all the gas suppliers and the other smaller equipment suppliers like, say, Aveco Instruments. There's a lot of beneficiaries. This is a very large industry. And so it's pretty broad. And also the companies that use these manufacturers, NVIDIA, AMD, Apple, they all benefit by having a source of supply that's more globally diversified and therefore less subject to geopolitical risks.
So, yeah, man, like we live in a world today. We live in a world today. I'm telling you, 11.6 billion. I wonder. Hold on. What's the average cost of building a chip plant? Fabs require many expensive devices to function. Estimates put the cost of a building of a new fab over 1 billion US dollars, with the highest being 3 to 4 billion, not quite uncommon. And TSM look, I just looked this up on Google real quick. TSMC invested 9.3 billion in its Fab 15300 manufacturing facility in Taiwan. So maybe They took the evaluation of building their facility in Taiwan, $9.3 billion. Gosh, dang. Said we need one in America. It's gonna cost more, an extra $2 billion to have one in America. That is insane. I guess when you look at how much they spent before, damn, these companies be making money, yo. They be making money to do something like that. And they basically got all the money that they needed to build it off grants and loans. Dang. So they just getting straight money besides the loans that they pay off. Like every company has loans, but yo, that's an episode. Let me know how you guys thought about this week's episode and everything. Appreciate you guys for staying tuned. See you guys next week. Hope you had a good one. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share. Also, comment and send me stuff if you want to know, if you want to see certain things. If you want me to react to certain videos and things like that, let me know, please. I would love to do it. I appreciate y'all for tuning in this week. Peace. See y'all next week.